Folks, this is Larry Strzelecki with our July monthly economic video. This month is certainly unique with Britain's recent vote to exit the European Union. With all of the market turmoil, we felt this was a good time to reach out and share our perspective on that topic. We're going to answer 5 main questions in this video. Number 1, what is the Brexit and why does it matter? Number 2, how could the Brexit affect U.S. markets? 3, what impact could the Brexit have on the global economy? 4, how could the Brexit affect the U.S. economy? And finally, 5, what should investors be doing right now? So let's start by taking a step back and asking, how did Britain get there? Well, Britain originally voted to join the European Economic Community in 1973. In 1975, Britons voted to remain within the new European Community, which then became the modern European Union in 1991. Economic and political circumstances have changed drastically since the 90s. And British citizens demanded a new national referendum on EU membership. The issues at stake were complex and involved British sovereignty, trade, regulations, and their immigration policy. Ultimately, the vote was about this. Did Britain see a future within the European Union, or did it want out? As we saw, British citizens voted to leave. Now let's talk about the effect the Brexit is having on markets. The vote to leave had surprised investors around the world. Investors typically don't like surprises, so they reacted by selling. History tells us that recent market movements are probably an overreaction in response to fear and uncertainty. If we look back, we see that since World War II, there have been political shocks like this. Markets tend to oversell and then rebound in the weeks and months that follow. In this case, the market started a recovery in just days. But we are likely to see more turbulence as a result of additional headlines. Though the past can't predict the future, we can look at other similar events as a guide. During the crisis around the Japanese earthquake in 2011 and the European debt crisis in 2012, markets experienced double-digit losses and then recovered later. In those cases, 3 or 4 months later. Now, what will happen this year? There's no way really to know. While political events like this rarely have a long-term effect on markets, we should also keep in mind that 2016 has brought many geopolitical challenges to our door and headwinds are getting stronger. We should expect a lot of volatility going forward and a lot of headline risk. Headline risk is what we call it when markets overreact to media coverage of events. We can also think of it as the Chicken Little syndrome. We'll talk more about what investors can do at the end of this video. Now let's talk about the potential economic impacts on the global economy. In Britain and Europe, a lot of the risks are political in nature. In Britain, it's possible that this vote will splinter the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland and Scotland both voted to remain within the European Union, and they may vote to leave Britain in order to rejoin the European Union. Britain also faces new elections in October once current Prime Minister David Cameron steps down. You can bet the negotiations around leaving the European Union will play a huge role in the elections and it'll get messy. Exit negotiations are also likely to drag on for months and possibly years and be the source of a lot of political footballs. We can expect plenty of volatility in the financial markets as those negotiations are hammered out. Economists also worry that Britain could lose a lot of multinational corporations who rely on access to European markets and the free movement of European talent. London is the center of Europe's financial world, and the loss of those financial firms would be a major blow to the British economy. The fallout from the Brexit could be enough to push Britain into a recession. Europe has several key elections coming up in Spain, Italy, and France that could be affected by Britain's vote. One of the big worries experts have is that Britain's vote will be the first of many anti-European votes that could cause a rush to the exit by other EU member countries. Britain leaving is complicated enough. If a member of the Euro currency union like the Netherlands or Greece left, negotiations would be even more complex. No one really knows what the breakup of the EU would look like, but it is not likely to be good for the global economic growth. I also want to point out that many economists are a lot more upbeat. They believe that the most apocalyptic scenarios are unlikely to play out, since Britain and Europe need each other. Future negotiations are likely to be favorable to both sides. European leaders are also a lot more likely to make needed reforms to keep their citizens happy and avoid Britain's fate. How the Brexit affects the U.S. economy really depends on how the divorce is negotiated. Again, there is no consensus among economists, but here's what we do know. Trade with Britain accounts for just 0.31% of U.S. gross domestic product, so British problems with trade won't necessarily affect us. We don't foresee any structural changes to the U.S. economy as a result of the Brexit. Some companies and sectors will be more affected by others, particularly those that have more revenue exposure to the United Kingdom. We could see an effect on their corporate earnings. However, the dollar is often viewed as a safe haven in times of international turmoil, which is pushing the dollar's values up versus other currencies. A stronger dollar may weaken demand for U.S. exports, which may drag down economic growth. We should keep in mind the fact that the U.S. is a consumer-driven economy and that wages, the housing market, and improvements in personal finances are all supporting consumer spending right now. Will the Brexit be enough to push the U.S. into a recession? That's not likely, although it could contribute to weak growth in the next couple of years. We think a major factor will be whether the market turmoil is enough to have a negative impact on business and consumer confidence. If so, we could see a greater effect on the U.S. economy. Britain's vote will likely affect Federal Reserve policies this year. Post-Brexit, expectations of a rate increase this year have gone down tremendously. Where predictions of a September rate hike were at 30% before the Brexit vote, they now stand at 0%. In fact, some experts even suggest that rate cuts may be back on the table if economic growth slows. Let's close by talking about what investors should be doing right now. First of all, please tune out the noise. We're going to see a lot of headlines about the Brexit in the forthcoming months, and it's not good for your mental or financial health to be glued to the media. Let us filter through the news for you and communicate what is important for you to know. It's one of the most important parts of our service to you. Second, focus on your own personal financial goals. Do you know who isn't exiting the European Union? You aren't, and America isn't. Political events shouldn't change your goals, and it's critical to avoid emotional reactions. When markets stumble, the smart move is to sit back, take a look at fundamentals, and make prudent changes where necessary. We will surely communicate with you should you need to recommend a strategy shift. Third, regardless of which direction markets go, we can expect a bumpy ride. Fear and uncertainty are going to be ruling the markets for a while, and stocks may tumble even more. But don't panic. It's too soon to tell what the Brexit will mean for markets. No one can agree on probable outcomes yet. Though we don't think the Brexit is the end of the world, we want to acknowledge that it does pose risks to the markets. We believe that bull markets don't die of old age, but we are facing growing headwinds from abroad that may threaten the bulls. We are closely watching economic data and market research as it comes in, and will be communicating continuously with you in the weeks to come. You can stay abreast of critical information by watching our weekly market commentaries, our monthly video updates, and by attending our upcoming halftime report on August the 2nd. Please go to the events tab of our website to register or call into extension 109. We will reach out to you personally if we believe that changes to your investment strategies need to be made in light of our analysis. If you have experienced any life changes or shifts in your goals that warrant changes to your strategies or financial plan, please let us know as soon as possible. Well, that's it for the July Educational Economic Update. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about what I've discussed, please give our office a call at 847-426-1077. Please remember that nothing we talk about here is a recommendation. If you'd like to discuss your personal financial situation, please give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you. Once again, this is Larry Strelecki with Assured Concepts Group, signing off for the month of July 2016. Thank you.
If you would like to discuss your portfolio or personal financial needs, please contact us at 847-426-1077. Nothing stated in this presentation should be considered an offer of a securities product nor an investment strategy. The advisors of Assured Concepts Group offer securities and investment advisory services through FSIC. FSIC is a member of FINRA and SIPC.